Welcome to the Washington State Convention Center. This is Looking for Geeks, and it's empty in here right now, but in a few days' time it will be filled with wall-to-wall cosplayers, comic book collectors, and pop culture aficionados, all here to experience Emerald City Comic Con 2019. Just up these stairs is where all of the magic will happen for Emerald City Comic Con. The main exhibit hall is on the top floor, and then all the rooms just above us will have other activities that you can participate in. Convention panels and cosplay repair and building and all kinds of things for you to enjoy Emerald City Comic Con, and this will be your guide. If this is the first time you've been at a convention, a large convention like this can be really intimidating. There are lots of people, there's lots of outside stimulus, and sometimes you just need a moment away, or you need some tips in order to survive your first convention. So I'm going to go up this escalator here and take you on a really quick fast forward tour. When you get to Emerald City Comic Con, the first thing you want to do, if you don't have your badges already, is pick them up. Now that we've shown you a little bit of the convention center where you're going to be spending the next few days during Emerald City Comic Con, here are some things you need to know. Number one, you can't enter the convention center or the hotel they have the signing and meet and greet at without your badge. If you don't have your badge yet, if it wasn't mailed to you, it will be at will call. If you were expecting it in the mail and it hasn't come, call Emerald City Comic Con, and they will let you know if it's been returned. And if it has, it will be at will call. The will call this year is at the Grand Hyatt, and they did this just to, make sure that everything runs smoothly. So you can't enter the convention center or the Hyatt Regency unless you have a badge. It must be visible at all times, so you need to pin it to yourself or have a lanyard or some way of keeping it visible and on you at all times. Point of advice, make sure that you register your badge. This is a suggestion, but it is the smartest thing for you. If you lose your badge, then you can go to will call, and will call can actually deactivate that badge, which means nobody else can use it. It'll be tied to you. If it gets returned, then they can call you and let you know that they have it, which is an awesome safeguard for your badges. Security this year has changed a bit. So this year you will go through metal detectors and there will be bag searches. This won't take any longer than in previous years. What you're going to have to do though is ensure that you don't bring anything with you that you shouldn't have with you. If you have to ask, you might want to leave it at home. Cosplay. Nothing's going to change with that. Your weapons, your props, we follow the same rules as last year. So you can still bring all of that, although they did make a joke about utility belts, because there's a lot of pockets to go through, so the faster you go through, the less stuff you probably have with you. There is a coat check, so if you want to wear a coat because you're wearing a costume that's made of light materials and it is cold right now, that's fine. There is a coat check at the convention center. So for conventions and other things, I invested in a very, very cool holographic clear purse. You can see the contents of my purse. I know that the green screen is probably having a field day with this, but you can actually see in it. And really good ones will come with what's called a privacy bag. This is where you put your wallet, or if you're like me and your pads, your feminine hygiene products, anything you don't want people seeing. There are so many things. Anyway, that you can put in these opaque privacy bags. They will be probably peeked into. So things I think that you should bring with you. If this is your first convention, I have a few suggestions. Make sure you bring water or a water bottle or something for you, because it gets hot in there. Yes, it's the winter, and at first it's not going to seem that hot, but when all the people are there all together, it's going to get really warm real fast. These are medical masks. I always carry them because if I get sick or I don't feel so well, I like to wear one so that I don't spread my cold around to everybody. And in convention settings, you're around a lot of people. So if you think you're getting sick, I suggest that you wear one of those just for a courtesy of your other con-goers. Also, I got swine flu one year at PAX, and please do yourself a favor and don't be patient zero. Tissues. There are a lot of little packs of tissues, and they can come in handy for doing makeup, or, you know, say you do have to blow your nose or just clean up whatever, or you spill your drink on yourself. A little packet of tissues is your best friend. Also in my bag of tricks is hand sanitizer. When in doubt, sanitize it out. I don't always use hand sanitizer because I believe that in the power of washing your hands. And the more frequently you wash hands and the less hands that you shake is probably better, especially in a large setting like this where everybody's going to be touching things, and not everybody has the same rules about touching their face and then touching stuff. So wash your hands frequently, but if you can't wash your hands, bring a little thing of hand sanitizer. Haha! This is my favorite little thing. It is a fan you can hook up to a cell phone. So remember how I said it gets hot in there? Well, this hooks into my little USB charging port and runs off the battery power of my phone. Ooh. You can find these just about anywhere nowadays. I found this one at GameStop. Ow! And don't do that. And then when you unplug it, it just turns right off. And they're kind of flexible, so they can go into your purse. They had them for all different kinds of phones. I have a Pixel, which is USB-C, and they actually make that for it as well. And they make standard Android. They make iPhone ones. It's pretty cool. I found these at convenience stores and everywhere. I got mine at GameStop, and it was maybe $5. My last suggestion is a cell phone battery pack. They make lots of different types of these that can give you the ability to charge your phone on the go. 2, 3 charges depending on the size of it. Some are more, some are less. You can also, if you have a switch, power switch off of some of these. Make sure you check and you're using the correct cord, but there are some that are powerful enough to charge your Switch if you're bringing your Switch with you. Bring your Switch. No peer pressure. I love the Switch. So if this is your first convention, I know things can get a little intimidating. Things to know before you leave the house: make sure you have an ID on you. You have your tickets for everything. If you're traveling, make sure you have your tickets. Make sure you have your wallet. That is really important because sometimes my wallet's not in my purse and I don't remember that I took it out of my purse. But make sure you have your wallet and your tickets. Before you leave your hotel or the place you're staying at, confirm how you're going to get there. Are you going to be taking a car and parking? Are you taking the light rail or the buses? Make sure that you have that all lined up before you leave for the day. Parking can get a little hairy in downtown, so I do suggest either taking a bus or some form of mass transit in the city, or a Lyft or an Uber, something besides parking. But if you do have to park, there is a convention center parking garage, but it fills up pretty quick, and there are lots of parking garages, but they can get pretty expensive during conventions. You could also park up the hill in Capitol Hill, but there is again a parking shortage in the surrounding areas. So you could park in the International District and then take the light rail. That's actually a really good option. And you can get something to eat in the International District because it's right next to a Wajimaya. Also, before you leave the house, I do suggest the Emerald City Comic Con app. You can use it to schedule all of the appearances that you want to see, all of the talks. It's got a map. It'll show you where everything in the convention center is, and it will give you reminders so you don't miss an important panel. For your first convention, I'm just going to review some basic courtesy at conventions. Number 1, cosplay is not consent. It may be really exciting to see somebody who is your favorite comic book or manga or anime or movie character, but make sure that if you run up to them that you don't like immediately hug them or whatever the situation is, and that you're respectful. And if they don't want to be touched, you don't touch them. If they don't want their photo taken, you don't take their photo. Ask. Make sure you ask. And I know that can be super scary, but cosplayers, they're prepared for it. They know, and they appreciate everybody who asks. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, don't touch without asking. Some people don't like to be touched, and if they have a medical condition where it hurts to get touched, you never know. There's no way to tell. So just make sure that you are respectful and ask before any of that. If you do take a photo with the cosplayer, make sure you get their information so that you can tag them and credit them properly online. One, this is just a really cool thing for them to know that you appreciated their costume. When you're moving throughout the center, just be aware of your surroundings. If you have a big backpack, be aware that in crowds you might be bumping into people with it. So don't, forget that that's there, and remember that it's part of your personal bubble now. If you have a prop weapon, make sure that you are aware of the radius of that weapon. Or, in this case, guitar. It's heavy. This is a real guitar. And some people will travel with items like this all day long. Monster hunters, I'm looking at you. Giant weapons. Make sure you don't smack people as you're moving through crowds. Monster hunters. Calling the monster hunters out. Actually, I have to say, as a Monster Hunter fan who has met many, many Monster Hunter cosplayers, I've never seen them smack anybody with one of their prop weapons. But just be aware. Strollers. Strollers are not explicitly banned at this convention, but I wouldn't expect to get through the crowds if you have one of those double strollers. Kids get tired, we know, and this is a family convention. So just be aware of where the wheels are. Not everybody is wearing fully covered shoes, because there are a lot of cosplays that involve sandals and bare feet. They won't actually be bare feet, but you know what I mean. Escalators! There are so many escalators in the convention center. Make sure that when you get on an escalator, you step to the right. Step onto the escalator and step to the right. Step onto the escalator and step to the right. And the reason that you do this is so that people who want to walk up the escalator can walk up the escalator. Other things not to do on the escalator: don't sit down on the escalator. I know it sounds silly, but it's a safety hazard, and I've seen it happen. Also, don't turn around to talk to your friends, because you never know when that escalator is going to actually end. And if you're wearing a big backpack, you might bump into the person who's on the step just right behind you. Lines! There are so many lines, and they do a great job of moving people through them very quickly. But the one thing that you want to remember is to compress the line. Bring everybody together. You don't have to touch other people or anything like that, but they like to keep the lines as compact as possible so that as many people as possible can get into the panels accurately. And listen to your minions. This is a big one. Make sure that if a minion has approached you and asked you something, that you listen to them. If they notice that your weapon isn't peace bonded and they ask you to go get your prop peace bonded, listen to them. If they ask you to compress the line, make sure that you listen to them. They're there for your safety. Also, if you're lost and you have a question, feel free to walk up to somebody wearing a minion shirt and ask them. They're super friendly, and they're there because they love conventions and they want you to have the best time possible. Why do I know that? It's because I am one. I'm a minion, and I want you to be there and have the best time possible. Oof. Now, here's a crazy one. What do you do when you're overwhelmed? Well, the best thing to do when you're overwhelmed at a convention is find a quiet place. And you're probably saying to yourself, there's so many people here. There's no quiet place. But actually there is. Emerald City Comic Con and most of the big conventions now provide a quiet room. That quiet room is for you to go and sit and take a moment away from people. There won't be a lot of people in there. There may be some mothers with babies. Babies will be taking naps. People will be taking naps and sitting down, maybe having a snack away from people. Just remember, the number one thing is it's the quiet room. So you don't want to go there with a bunch of your friends and a game and make a lot of noise. One, you'll be asked to leave. And two, it's the quiet room. Shh. Also, there's many places at the convention center that are a lot less crowded and a lot quieter than the main hall areas. Take a moment to explore Freeway Park. There's going to be a number of cosplayers in the main area, which is closest to the building. But as you wander through it, and it is a big park, there's plenty of spaces for you to sit. If somebody is taking a photography session, just make sure that you're not in their shot, and it will be nice and quiet, maybe a little freeway noise, but it'll give you a breather. Also, if you need a quiet moment, this one's going to sound a little weird, but we're really close to the light rail station, and the light rail station is underground and has sitting areas. So if you do need a moment, you can go over to the light rail station, go underground, be warm, and just hang out until you can return to the convention. Or you could jump on a train and go to like Owajimaya, grab something to eat. Or head up to the UW station and grab something to eat. Explore our wonderful city. I sound like a tour guide. Don't I sound like a tour guide? Welcome to Seattle, the city of the future. This is the Emerald City. Make sure to leave it green. Don't litter. And don't cast your cigarette butts out on the street. Make sure that you don't spit in public places. That spreads colds, viruses, and bacteria. I swear to you, I am not a robot. I might be lying. Robots can't lie. That goes against the laws of robotics. My other advice for people who are coming to the convention for the first time is make sure you eat food. It's so easy to get caught up in all of the excitement and the panels and seeing friends, or having traveled with friends, you forget to eat. I've done it. I think everybody's done it once at a convention. They have a lot of restaurants in the convention center, and right next to the subway that is next to the main exhibit hall, there's actually a sitting area that has chairs, and people could generally sit down. If you do sit down in an area that doesn't actually have seating, make sure that you are up against the wall, like this. No, seriously, make sure that you're out of the walkway as much as possible so that you're not blocking the flow of traffic or blocking our friends who might be in wheelchairs or need a little extra room for maneuvering because they're on crutches. And hopefully you will not need this information, but if you do get hurt, go to a minion. If something happens, you sprain your ankle, you fall over, you get a cut, find a minion, and a minion can get you to first aid. They can get you to somebody who can help. And if it's more serious, send your friends to get a minion, and the minions can actually help you get the help that you need. Remember, Emerald City Comic Con, minions are your friends. Minions are your friends. Now, go. Put your costume on, put your makeup on, put your lovely, nerdiest shirt possible on. Like my Tina Butts one I wore in another video. Yeah, it says Hello Butts. Has Tina as a Hello Kitty character from Bob's Burgers. Go put that on. Put some comfortable shoes on. Load your bag with snacks. Make sure you have your badges, your ID card, your cell phone is charged, and go have fun. Finger guns for science or fun.